There's nothing to complain about. I know we are in the year 2020, but we're always trying to look on the bright side. And we were just talking at the virtual backstage about how beautiful this fall is and how it's warm, it's a little cool. Outside my window here, I have leaves that are like bright red, yellow. I mean, it's stunning. So it's good to look on the bright side. It's been a challenging time for us, but you know what? We have so many things to be grateful for, and we need to think about those every day sincerely. Well, good day, everybody. My name is Catherine Harrington, and I'm the very proud president and CEO of the West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce. And I want to thank you so much for attending our event today, presented by Bank Iowa. Now, during our annual dinner this year, we heard from the Iron Cowboy, and I hope you were all in attending that event. It was amazing. He worked against all odds, and he told us his story about how he ran 50 triathlons in 50 days in 50 states. Now, can you imagine what he went through to accomplish that? Well, today, we will learn from some of our West Des Moines leaders about how they too are working against all odds, how they're innovating, moving forward, and leveraging teamwork to make things happen in the crazy year 2020 that we all find ourselves in. We are in a crazy time. And today, our leaders will impart their words of wisdom that will help to motivate us through the rest of the year and beyond. So we're so excited to feature them today. Today, we have presenting Tom Hadden, Richard Hurd, Angela Jackson, Sheena Mahan, Tom Mulrooney, Chris Nelson, and Ben Vallier. This is going to be a blast. I can't wait. Okay. I am now very happy to introduce the expert chamber team. These are our tireless chamber champions that work behind the scenes and in front of the scenes to support our region right now. And that includes Kara Matheson, our Director of Workforce Development. And Kara wave, there she is. And we are proud to say that the West Des Moines Leadership Academy is in its 14th year, and it is in full swing. We're not counting the year 13, by the way. Just want you guys to know that if anybody is keeping track out there. We are in year 14 for that. Anna Dowd is our Director of Membership and Strategic Partnerships, and our fall membership drive is well underway and doing amazing. Nicole Langmaid is our accounting and administrative specialist, and watch for a survey coming up soon that will ask you about ideas for our insightful programming for 2021 that we're crafting right now. And Bailey First, Events and Marketing Communications Manager, who is running our virtual event today. And she encourages each and every one of you to vote in the first annual US Cellular Best of the West Awards, which is going gangbuster. We have near 1,000 entries. So that has been a smashing success, and we're super excited about that. I am excited now to bring up to the virtual podium Anna Dowd, who will introduce our sponsors that help make this fun event possible.
Yes, thank you so much, Catherine. And we are so grateful to all the amazing supporters of this program and the West Des Moines Chamber. So first, I'd like to thank our Spotlight sponsors. And these sponsors helped support our annual dinner earlier this year, which was the Redefining Impossible. So big thanks to all of you who helped participate and support that program. First up, we'd like to give a big thank you to Catch Des Moines, Greg Edwards and his team, as well as the team at Honey Creek Resort for being Spotlight sponsors. Another thank you to Hy-Vee for being our exclusive catering sponsor earlier this year. Hy-Vee provided to-go meals for all the attendees that were able to attend the annual dinner virtually from the comforts of their own home. So thank you to those members and businesses. And next up, I'd like to thank Genesis Health Clubs. And with us today representing them is Debbie Hudson. So Debbie, I will hand it over to you.
Hello, everybody. If you don't recognize the name Genesis Health Clubs, we were formerly known as the Athletic Club for a flash. And before that, we were WhereILive Fitness for a good 17 plus years. Quite a few changes in the last 15 months. We did have a remodel. We have new and exciting programs like Combo 6. We have a 3D Fit scan machine and much, much more. And with this change to Genesis now, the club that were originally Aspen that got sold to Genesis about 8 or 9 months ago. And then now you can use our club, and we have the pools. You can use the club over on Hickman that has tennis. And then there's one over on Merle Hay. And then they have a club on the south side, and they're going to be building a new one in about 1.5 years. And I've been able to see a little bit of those plans. So it's very exciting. And one thing that's different about Genesis is that there's, for every time you work out or participate in something that we have here at the club, you get what's called G perks, and you actually get to use those towards making some purchases. So in some ways you actually get paid to work out. So that's pretty exciting. If you have any questions, please feel free to go to our website or contact me. I know quite a few people are still a little struggling with those extra pounds that they put on because of COVID. So we'd love to help you meet your health and fitness goals. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Debbie. And we're excited to welcome Genesis Health as a member to the chamber. So next up, I would like to welcome another Spotlight sponsor, who is also our presenting sponsor for the annual dinner, Marco Technologies. And with us from Marco is Doug Wood.
Thanks, Anna. And Marco really does appreciate, and I'm pinch hitting for Paul Scott. As most of you know, he's our main representative. We do a lot with the West Des Moines Chamber. And we were really proud this year to be the Spotlight sponsor for the annual event. And certainly, as Catherine said, it's been quite a year. But I want to thank the West Des Moines Chamber for giving us an opportunity to address this group again for the second time. And what a crazy year it's been. I've been fond of saying that this has been the slowest/fastest year of my life with so much happening. And certainly, who wasn't impressed by James Lawrence and his lessons in goals, grit, and the strength of the human spirit? But I wanted to share how impressed I was with this group and really just our entire metro region, and how this room has redefined impossible in 2020. You know, Iowa businesses in the span of weeks shifted millions of workers to, and through that protected countless jobs and our economy. You know, however, through this rapid revolution in technology, it's created gaps in security for many organizations. Marco Technologies provides technology services to over 30,000 customers in 13 states, including the entire state of Iowa. Inside that number, though, just to go a little deeper, Marco has about 10,000 customers specifically related to network services and infrastructure, really from the management of a company's entire IT environment to simple aspects of their networks. And some alarming statistics are starting to emerge as we answer our generation's call to action in remote work. A year ago, Marco was averaging less than 1/2 of one cybercrime inside our customer base per month. In March, that number jumped to just over 1/2 of one per month. And in June, it jumped to 3. And in last month, it jumped to 6. These are just the ones we're aware of. Victims have been in banking, manufacturing, healthcare, and even public schools. And at this point, could really be anyone. To combat this rising threat in a sea of change, Marco is offering our security risk assessment starting at $1,000, depending on the size of your company. This is a considerable discount, and I implore everyone that's on this call, if you don't do it from Marco, and there are other really good providers in the metro area that do this same type of service, you need to make this investment. The way we conduct business has changed, probably forever, and we need to keep it safe. If you're interested in learning more about the Marco Security Risk Assessment, please reach out to Paul Scott from our office. He'll be happy to share some details. And we're again happy to be sponsoring this event.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Doug. And again, huge thanks to Marco for all the support you guys provide the West Des Moines community. And again, thank you to all of our Spotlight sponsors. So next up, we have our supporting sponsor for this month's luncheon, ISG. And with us from ISG is Stacy Williams.
Hello. Clearly, I have not quite figured out the background game. I was trying, but I'm doing something wrong. So I apologize for that. The team at ISG is excited to support the West Des Moines Chamber and all of the great things that are happening in West Des Moines. ISG is a multidisciplinary architecture and engineering firm with offices in central Iowa, as well as Waterloo, Storm Lake, and throughout the Midwest. work on a variety of different things, ranging from buildings. We're also working with West Des Moines and the larger region on Central Iowa water trails, and really working to highlight the quality of life and economic and recreation value that our water resources provide, and what the city of West Des Moines has been a leader in those efforts. So we commend you on that, as well as a number of additional projects that are taking place within the city. And so we again, are happy to be here. Thank you for your leadership to the Chamber and to the city of West Des Moines for all that you're doing to help move our community forward during this difficult time. And I'm excited to hear from the panelists today and learn more on some of their perspectives. So thank you for having us. I apologize for my background glitch, but I'll get it figured out.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Stacy. And again, we really appreciate ISG's support. Now, last but certainly not least, I would like to extend a big thank you to our presenting sponsor for today, Bank Iowa. And with us today from Bank Iowa, we have Kyle McCormick. Kyle, I will give the virtual podium over to you.
Thanks, Anna. Kyle McCormick, I'm a commercial banker with Bank Iowa. We're a community bank, family owned, and I feel we're the model a community bank should be. You walk in, everyone knows your name, and the tellers are ready to help with your needs, and bankers are in their offices and accessible. Some current events at Bank Iowa. We're just started to finally get from the SBA some PPP forgiveness processing. So those business owners are finally have the safeness and soundness that their loans are indeed being forgiven, and they won't have to pay those back. Something I want to touch on that we used to talk about. We still have the Eleanor savings accounts for you depositors out there. So if you're got a grandchild or a young daughter or son that you think it's important to start saving for, come in and open a savings account. We'll match it with $25 and give you an Eleanor Saves the Day book. Beyond that, we're open and ready to do business, and want to thank the Chamber for this great event. And with 7 people speaking, I'm going to keep it short because I know there's going to be a lot of Q&A at the end of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Really, really so grateful. Kyle, Doug, Debbie, Stacy, and a lot of interesting information that was shared too. So we really appreciate that. And boy, the water trail system, that's going to be something when that project ends up. There's so many great things happening, certainly in West Des Moines, but in our region as a whole, of which we are a key part of. So it's going to be fun to see a lot of these neat new things come on the line. So, well, we're going to dig into our programming. Each leader is going to have about 7 minutes to spotlight their organization, how they're leveraging innovation and teamwork in 2020, and any special words of wisdom they would also like to impart that will help inspire us as we all move forward in the year 2020. And I know we could all use a big dose of inspiration right now, so I'm so excited about this. Now, technically on the Zoom platform, on the upper right-hand corner, you can see a gallery view, or you can select a presenter view. So that's up to you how you want to see our presenters today. During the event, also feel free to use that chat box function there in the middle. Express your love for what you're hearing and your support. We love that, and we love that feedback. We keep those too, and sometimes we use those as quotes for future marketing. So feel free to chat along the way. And if we have time at the end, we will do a Q&A. So excited. We'd like to start our event today with the impeccable Tom Hadden. Tom Hadden is the city manager for West Des Moines, and we are excited to hear his perspective from a broader city view. And take it away, Tom. Awesome. And Tom, you might be muted. We might have to unmute you, Tom.
No, I'm so sorry. You there?
There you go. We can hear you now. Thank
Okay,
you.
so
Awesome.
before you start moving the slides, I want to give a little background. So West Des Moines, we started our training for, we've always been teamwork and innovation minded, but in December of 2019, our 2020 started early. we had a hack, an IT cyber attack, which was very debilitating. It took all our systems down, but luckily we had our memory and storage, but it took weeks and months to get everything back up. I think nobody from the outside noticed the lesser service from us, but it started us down the road of, okay, we had to lean on each other, do things the old fashioned way, and some use telephones sometimes more than emails. But one key thing that really is public safety, if you think about that. If you've ever been in the police car, hopefully it wasn't in the back seat, there's the front seat. If you look at a front seat of a police car, it looks like a cockpit of a jet or of some type of a space vehicle, because they have all kinds of technical aspects there to help them do their job. Well, that system was rendered fairly not tip top during that period of time. So we had to build that up. There had to be patience. There had to be people doing things they've never done before, using their talents to get us back on board. So that got us going. And then in January and February, we started hearing about this virus in China. And so our EMS staff, and I will tell you, we were way ahead of some of the leaders of the country, that's for sure, that we knew that we had to get ready for this in our EMS services. And so we started preparing then. And again, using all our public safety worked together very closely on this as we prepared for that. So bringing us into COVID, now I'm going to start that even during COVID, when we like the rest of you started working from home and rotating people and communicating with different departments strategically, we still kept the city moving. Not only your police, your fire, your EMS were all operational and good, and that worked excellently. We also did some major projects, including if you go to the library is doing an overhaul and during this time, and they'll be done this in 21, but that's going to be a great improvement. Build a public service building's almost finished that will serve the city as it grows. And now I'm going to start some of the other projects that we kept moving forward as we were dealing with COVID. And so, okay, Bailey, the next slide. Can you do it? There you go. 5 Waters projects. This is a wonderful concept for the city of West Des Moines. If you look at the Raccoon River Valley, we want to protect that valley as far as it's a floodplain, and we're systematically working with landowners and ourselves acquiring property that's basically in a floodplain and or really, so it could be used as habitat, and also is going to be a part of our marathon trail system. And in the future, there'll be some, in the not too distant future, those lakes that are quarries that are now being dug out for the rocks and material will become very attractive lakes for the future of the city of West Des Moines. So there'll be like a ribbon of lakes and the river down through that corridor, which will be very great for all of us and for the region, quite frankly. So trails, we're going to be connecting the Great Western Trail in the next few years with a bridge. And so this is an exciting project for long-term for all of us. Next slide, Bailey. Okay, one of this parts of the 5 water projects is the Raccoon River Boathouse. I hope you've been able to see it or been out there to see it, but it got open later in the summer because there were some delays with COVID related issues, but it was a great success late in the season, and it's just going to be better now because I guess one of the good things about COVID is that people went out more. So now we're going to have we have kayaks there, and the canoes and water stand-up boards and other things that'll be people can get from that facility and recreate on the lake. And so Blue Heron Lake, it's very exciting. It's people loved got a taste of it for a month or so this year, maybe a little over a month, and now next year we'll be ready to go. One of the challenges was with the operator is with all the demand on outdoor equipment, we couldn't have as much as the demand called for because people were the kayaks and everything were sold out basically. So that's a good thing. But so next spring when we open up, it'll be I think a really big under demand and hit for the region. Okay, let's go next to the Jamie Hurd Amphitheater. The Jamie Hurd Amphitheater just opened up in the last month. And again, I hope you visit the school city campus here and walk around with the library, the school admin, the stadium, city hall, all these amenities. But this really is kind of, it just sets us off. It's over there by the pond, and it's beautiful setting. And this is, we made this happen with Richard Hurd's, one of the presenters I see. This is for his daughter, the name of his daughter, Jamie Hurd, who lost her battle with, I believe, cancer some years ago, but she's still remembered here. And what a way to remember her. And we had a great event. I went to an event that, and socially distanced, everybody did a great job. But it was a group that came out on the Saturday after it was opened up, and it was very enjoyable. This will be something the community members will be able to enjoy and recreate and get some music and plays and whatever else the imagination can bring you. So that was a great that's a great venue and project. Next one, Bailey. That's just another shot of the venue, and believe me, I hope you get to enjoy it and you try to. There's even some events yet this fall, I think, so you may just check the calendar and check our website for that. But again, thanks to, and I forgot to thank, I know Richard Hurd's contribution to this project, but Microsoft was a contributor in the city, so we did we worked all together to make this happen, and it's a project where we're bringing public-private funds together, and the result was this. So thanks. Let's go to the Mid-American Company Recplex. That was right after the Durate show. The roofs are gone. No, just kidding. That's a cutaway, so you can see what the facility will look like, as the model. And as you can see, we have 3 soccer fields, football fields, lacrosse fields, whatever you want, and we have room for more as you go west. This is right along Grand Avenue, kind of across the street from area or DMAC, and then down the street a little further is going to be DMU. So Grand Avenue is going to be popping in the next coming years. And so we have two ice rinks. You can see one has seats 1,500 and one's a smaller venue for 300, but that's desperately needed in the metro area. We have 4 basketball courts, a full-size soccer field inside. It may not look like that in this, but if you go by the building, you'll see that it's very big. And then you can even play a baseball game for kids and softball for like 12 and under, full field in there, and they're going to be doing it. And we have special surfaces for kids and folks who have special needs. We have a partnership with Courage League Sports, who's going to have programming in there. So once we're programming it now, it's going to be open. We're trying to get 1 rink open in January still, but the whole facility be open March 1st is a goal. Of course, it's always challenging to meet these goals at times, especially we've had all kinds of barriers and hurdles to overcome, but we're getting there. Next slide to show the actual one, Bailey. Oh, whoops, there you go. Thank you. Now that's a drone shot of above, and if you drive by Grand Avenue, you can see that it's really taking shape, and you'll get the scale of the area. It's on 70 acres, so that's very exciting to see it from that way. Bailey, next. And just another final inside shot of what it's going to look like for the artists. But it's the way it is going to look. We can use the atrium for dinners if we need to, or big events. DMU is partnership with us. They're going to have a rehab facility and a clinic type aspect as part of the facility. We have an esports program that'll be there, a room where kids can participate in that. It's just it's going to have a lot of bells and whistles. We have a partnership. We're working with CenturyLink to have it so it's Wi-Fi, everything. I mean, not just Wi-Fi, but it's going to be very so people are totally wired. We know when they go to these types of events, they want to be able to use all their technical equipment and iPads and phones and laptops or anything else, so they'll be able to do that. And the beauty of it is it's in West Des Moines also. It's a regional draw. People will be coming not only locally for daily type things, but they'll be coming for all over the Midwest and further, possibly for regional events. And then they'll use all the businesses in the region and our city. So next one. Go ahead, Bailey. Okay, here's something that's a lot of pressure on some of us. Best city government conducive to do business is, we've done it 23 years in a row. So when I retire, I got to make sure I keep that. And then if it goes, then it's the next person's fault. But we've done 23 years, and that's not an accident. That's by empowering our employees to make decisions, to solve problems, to find new ways to handle situations. And there's always challenges and projects. They're never easy. You just can't say, hey, go get it done. You know, you can talk to a developer and whoever, that's just not how it works. And so we try to go the extra mile, and that's just our mantra, a great customer service. And matter of fact, we did a recent survey. Our community is in the 90s and a lot of percentiles of how people rate us in performance. And we're 42% higher than the national average for overall quality of services. So we pride ourselves on that, and we're going to continue to do that. That's who we are. That's why we want to be exceptional. We want to be exceptional in providing service and being a great place for you to do business and for people to live and recreate. So got that one. Let's do the next one. Trying to keep my 7 minutes. Got 2 slides left. Okay, this is an exciting venture we're doing. We've been working on this for over 2 years. Deputy Manager Jamie Letstrain's been heading this up for the city staff, and then our engineering department and many others have pitched into this. But what we're doing is, when we did a 2036 plan some years ago in 2016, one thing we found out, and we worked with the leaders of our community, some of you are on this call or on this Zoom, is that people say, hey, we have to have, this was before obviously COVID, we have to have people connected and for everything you could think of. And then we run into COVID, and of course we find out for education and for business and for the amount of data that's going to be going through the lines is exceptional. So we are doing this project, and it's going to be, we're going to put fiber, we're going to put the conduits all throughout the city, and any business or resident will get the conduit up to their home, and then they can choose who they want to use to give them to provide the service, but it'll be up through their home through a fiber. So we'll be kind of the infrastructure to put it, that part of the infrastructure. And then we're not getting the business of, cable television or all those types of things. They can choose who they want. We do have a partnership with Google, who's going to be in this community. That's exciting. They're another one ad. And we're doing this for competition. The goal is for you to have options as a business or a resident to say, who do I want to choose? Who's going to give me the best value? And that's very exciting as we go forward. And there's areas of the city that have not been had the access to this high-speed fiber, and they will have it also. So it's going to take about 2.5 years to get this done. But this is also something I think it'll be a great investment. It's no increase in taxes. We are using our debt service to pay for it, and hopefully, and we're going to get some actually revenue back for those leasing parts of those conduits. So stay tuned and go to our wirewdm.org if you're in a business or a resident and you want us to put a conduit right up to your side of your building. Please sign up now, because that's helpful. So one last slide. Bailey, you there? Okay, thank you. This is the last one. I don't know if you saw that we're getting 2 more Microsoft facilities, data centers in our community. And what I wanted to show you, they're going to bring $500 million worth of valuation, because they're going to sign agreements to that effect. But this is Ginger West. They use code names. Don't ask me how it got Ginger. But that's what it was called. Now, you could look at Microsoft, but this is in the western part of the community, southwestern part of the community. What what I'm going to explain to you, so people say, well, what's the deal with them? Well, they bring a lot of value. That what we use with their taxes, they are tax increment finance, but what we take the money for, it's not going back to Microsoft. It's going to put all this infrastructure you're seeing in front of you. For example, Grand Prairie Parkway through this project will be connected now, and it'll go all the way down to Veterans Parkway. So from I-80, that would allow people to move through to Highway 5. Now that also opens up a lot property for potential development. And that, because we're getting water lines, sewer lines, all the other things you need to do. And all that is paid from the taxes generated from Microsoft for that facility. So they're using their tax dollars to, it helps them, but also obviously helps the city of West Des Moines when you see the scope of all that infrastructure. And that's what it takes to have in place before you can develop. So that's my pitch. And I'm probably over my 7 minutes, and thank you very much.
You're great, Tom. Wow, it's interesting. I totally forgot about that cyber attack that you got hit with early on. And it's interesting how you started with that. And, you know, that was a huge obstacle. And then the EMS, and you realized early on that COVID was going to be here. It was going to be in our backyard, and you planned for that. You knew that was going to happen. So you had plans in place. I mean, talk about foresight. That's incredible. And all these projects are so exciting. And this is what makes West Des Moines amazing. Our city, and look at 23 years, best city government conductive for doing business, and that recent survey that came out. So kudos to you, Tom, and the entire team, our city council, our mayor, just an incredible city. And I know we all feel very, very grateful to be part of it. So thank you so much, Tom, for that info. Very, very cool. Oh, and perfect. This is great. We've got Richard Hurd next, and I'm sure might mention the amphitheater as well. But so Richard Hurd is president of Hurd Real Estate Services, and we're so grateful that you're here today, Richard. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Well, thanks for the opportunity. Talking about what has happened in 2020, basically for us, was everything was as planned up until March. And when the pandemic hit, you know, for those of you that don't know really what we do, we're developers and investors based in West Des Moines. We operate in 12 states, primarily in the Midwest and Southwest, and we own and manage 130 different commercial properties. So our development side, which is what generally gets geared up going into spring, every project we had was either postponed, delayed, or terminated. So we have this is the first time in probably 25 years, we have absolutely nothing under construction right now, which is very, very strange for us. So what we were confronted with is how do we respond to this? So basically what we've done this year is work on land acquisition. We've acquired sites, most of them in West Des Moines, worked on having them entitled and improved, ready for development, basically getting ready for the next wave once we get past the pandemic, because most of the companies that we work with and for are regional and national, and they get pretty skittish about doing more development when these types of things happen. They want to kind of wait until things settle out, and they have more predictability about what they can expect. Now, we did just finish the Hy-Vee convenience store on Grand Prairie Parkway across the street from the mall. And that was pre-COVID project. And you're seeing right now, you're seeing a lot of things that are still operating, still going, that were started or envisioned and entitled pre-COVID. But where you're going to see the real lack of activity is when we get into the spring of next year, because those of us that do this type of thing we don't have things on the docket because of the pandemic. So basically, we've been working on land development. We've been working on sales of properties that are in demand. So if you take a look at the economy and you took a ruler and drew a line right down through the middle of the economy, you can look at, you're either on the plus side or the minus side of COVID. If you're on the plus side, you're a grocery store, and I'm talking retail here, so keep in mind these comments are retail focused. So if you're on the plus side, you're a grocery store, a convenience store, a fast food restaurant, a medical provider, I could go on. And if you're on the minus side, you're a hotel, you're a gym, you're a sit-down restaurant, a theater. Those types of businesses were really hurt during the pandemic because they were obviously put out of business. So, and a lot of our tenants that we work with are in those categories. So we spent a lot of time working with the ones that we can to try to help them reposition going forward out of the pandemic into a more normalized business life. Hopefully soon. I guess we're going to have to wait and see what this fall delivers to us. But the bottom line is that I think every business has had to adjust and react to this pandemic. I don't think there's anybody that has no impact. Virtually anybody and everything, our lives have been affected. Whether you have kids that are not in school or in, hybrid school, or if your business is way up or your business is way down, this pandemic's affected all of us, and we've all had to adjust to a new environment. And to be completely honest with you, I think, it'll make us better in some ways, but it's really going to hurt us in some other ways, because the businesses that have really were put out of business by the pandemic through no fault of theirs, my heart goes out to them, because that's a reality that, a lot of those people that own those businesses, there's absolutely nothing they could do about it. It's just the way it is. So anyway, and we've also worked on another number of other projects. And Tom, I appreciate your comments. Obviously the amphitheater, which is named after our daughter, but that was started post or pre-COVID also, and started working on that more than a year ago now, about 1.5 years ago. Finished up though this fall and turned out to be a great project, and I think a good addition to the city of West Des Moines. So my hope is that the virus calms down, we get vaccines, and we can get back to a more normalized way of life. And some of these other things, Microsoft and some of those companies, they haven't really been affected. So that's good. They're able to forge ahead because people are still using technology. In fact, probably using it more now than they were pre-COVID. So, kudos to the West Des Moines team, Tom, and putting together the new Microsoft projects. But that's pretty much what's been going on with us. And I appreciate the opportunity, Catherine. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. You're at the pulse of talking and working to a lot of those small businesses, like you mentioned, the gyms and maybe the theaters, or those people that are in your malls, and it's nice that you're trying to help them. That's really neat. You're trying to give them some support, all that you can right now. And it's exciting to hear that you're getting ready for when we're done, that development, that acquisition, because we will be done with this. And then we will have parties in the streets. Businesses will be flourishing again. And we've got to get prepared for that too, right? This is not going to last forever. So that's where I love the city of West Des Moines and all the people in it. We are working toward that now. So this is not what we're going to be doing forever, right? So thank you so much, Richard. Really, really appreciate it. And the amphitheater is stunning, and it's such a huge asset to our region. Thank you. It's amazing. I'm excited to bring to the virtual podium Angela Jackson. Angela is an attorney, entrepreneur, management consultant. She owns a great frame up. She's on our executive board. She also runs our diversity, equity, inclusion committee. And we're so excited that you're here. Thank you, Angela. And you might be muted, Angela.
All right, I think I'm good now. You can hear me? Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Catherine, so much for that. And thank you to all of our sponsors. I am Angela Jackson. I own the Great Frame Up. And next month, we'll be celebrating 15 years. Hallelujah. So I'm pretty excited about that. Redefine Impossible. That was an amazing speech. I used to run in college and I was never a marathoner, but I did long distance. And I'm telling you, we all are long distance runners through this pandemic, through the social and civil unrest, through family back and forth. And so I thank for this opportunity. I have quite a few items to share. And so I'll kick it off with letting Bailey show you guys some of the slides. We have been located in the West Des Moines community in West Glen for the 15 years. So we've seen that development come and go, and it's still trying to find its way. Initially, we were recruited, and that street that we are currently on is called Avenue of the Arts. So we thought there were going to be lots of art galleries and lots of places that would attract people from an artistic point of view. That has transitioned back and forth a couple times. You can go to the next slide, Bailey. What we have been able to do during this time is really expand our options. So when the pandemic hit, we really were focused on how can we continue to service our clients and service our customers and do it in a way that is safe, that is healthy, that is going to give them what they need and give them a design experience for custom framing, because that's our bread and butter. And we were able to do that through technology like so many people. We employed Zoom and we employed Skype and FaceTime and used our phone. And so one of the wonderful things that I'm able to do now, and I continue to do that, is send out new technology. So many of you probably are aware of the calendar technology that's out there. And sometimes we scheduling meetings, you go back and forth with several emails. Well, no longer. I just send a link and a person can pick a time and they can pick a time that's convenient for my calendar and their calendar. We can set it up. I can send them a Zoom link and then we can schedule a time to do design. We can do it for their home. We can do it for their office. And it really has become a nice add-on skill set for me and my staff. They can do it virtually as well. And we also had a client. I want to give a shout out to Colleen Kinsey and her company, Kinsey Co., because she did a virtual design video in May, and that spurred us on to do our own virtual design video. We posted hers to Pinterest. We got over 100 views within the first week. We posted ours and launched a YouTube channel. So it really has forced us to be a lot more aggressive in how we market, but we still get people calling us wanting to do virtual design, wanting to do appointments, not comfortable quite yet going out in the community and shopping like they used to, but it's worked very well. And I have really enjoyed being in front of people in that space and sending them ideas. And then they come in and drop them off and we schedule an appointment that makes it convenient for them. We're open to the public, but we also are cognizant of everyone's not comfortable having a lot of people in the store. So we accommodate that by having appointments as well. You can go to the next slide, Bailey. The other wonderful thing we were able to do is pivot and add additional custom product. So I'm so excited about this because this was an opportunity really for us to do a couple of things. We were able to showcase something that we can do, which is custom. We were also able to do something for the community. Every one of the face masks that we have sold has been a benefit not only to us and to our community to keep us safe, but we've donated a portion of that to the local food pantry. Over this course of period of time, we've sold several thousand face masks and we have donated over $1,000 to the local food pantry. So we're really proud of that. In addition, we've been able to be really a blessing to one of our staff members who works part-time in the performing arts field. She has not been able to do that, of course, because none of that is going on right now. And so she came and she, started doing these masks. So I've been cutting them. We've gotten a great partnership with quite a few West Des Moines Chamber businesses. I'd like to thank the West Des Moines Chamber and Athene. And I have in front of me here one of the face masks. We do them custom. So you can see this says staycation mode because I'm doing this from Staycation Palace. And this is West Des Moines strong. So we're just really proud that we can do that. She purchased additional equipment to be able to provide that service, and we've gotten orders from all across the state. In addition, we have these custom face shields. Many of you see these, but I think it's just cool that we can, you know, put a company's logo on them and really provide a resource for our staff to continue to work, as well as an additional revenue stream. And so many of you know, we do custom framing, we do artwork. We also have always done local art shows, and we've always done them monthly, but we haven't done any due to COVID because nobody's gathering in those great gatherings. But we've been able to showcase colorful items and also keep our business at top of mind for people. So it's kind of like our milk. It's a loss leader, but it brings people in the store off the street to get a face mask. And we really appreciate that because ours are not boring, they're cute. You can go to the next slide, Bailey. One of the other things we were so happy to do, again, thank you to the West Des Moines Chamber for our partnership, and Kara and everyone on that team, but they were really ahead of the curve. And this is one of my points: make sure that you're prepared for circumstances before they arise. So they launched what was really a pioneering venture, an online store, and it was called Shop Where I Live, Central Iowa. And so I have a website as a business. I also have an online presence for the prints that we sell. We have thousands of prints available online. People can go to my website, they can see that. But most of the sales that I receive are from custom framing, things and projects that people bring in. What this Shop Where I Live site allowed me to do was then launch some of the items that I have in the store. So you see on the slide, you see one of the local artists, Ronnie Primer. She does cards and she does artwork. You also see in the center, there is some framed art that we have, ready to hang art available. And then you see a local photographer took a picture, and we sell that in our store of a water tower. Well, what we were able to do was put our items on the Shop Where I Live Central Iowa site. We did that. I had a professional photographer take pictures. Boom, we're ready pre-pandemic. Pandemic hits, you know, the governor has to shut some businesses down, and we are one of them. And then what we noticed were a lot of people were buying things online. So we put the pictures of our masks. So you saw that slide earlier. Our masks started selling gangbusters. People are buying our masks online, and we're shipping them. We're shipping them all over the country. Mainly, we're getting people to do what is now a big deal in retail, buy online, pick up in store. So people are coming to the store and they're picking up those items online. Then what happened was the governor was able to expand that program, and that site shifted and expanded to Shop Iowa. So now it's a regional site all over the state of Iowa. And because we were in position, because we were there, we already had product online, it was transitioned seamlessly. And now we are also on Shop Iowa. So it just kind of lets you know that when you're prepared and you have things in place, you really are able to provide something that adds value. We haven't gotten thousands and thousands of sales through this portal, but we have been prepared, and we are a small shop on Main Street, but we also now have exposure and great marketing exposure through the Shop Where I Live and the Shop Iowa site online. So it's been really a great opportunity to expand our footprint in the community. And so that's been a great blessing. I don't know how much time I have, but I'll just keep going till you raise your hand and tell me that. That was the last slide that I had. The other tips that I would share in terms of redefining impossible is not letting the limits of your circumstances define where you are. So often, you know, we think, well, we're a smaller community, we're in West Des Moines, people are not going to see what we're doing. Well, we're doing great things. And we have video that can go viral. So just think about ways to innovate and tell people your story, tell people what you're doing. Another great tip that I got in applying for a lot of the different programs, you really have to know your numbers. You have to be able to understand them, and you have to know the industry you're in, and really recognize those trends, and then retool them to match where your numbers are going. So even as you work with clients, as you work with customers, as a management professional, make sure that you're working with people and networking with intention. Networking even virtually through Zoom or through LinkedIn, make sure that you're making connections for the future, because we're not going anywhere. You know, prayerfully, we all are healthy. And in 2021, you want to have established relationships with people who are people that you want to meet when you get together for coffees again. So you can post articles on LinkedIn, you can make connections with people now, and then later on, you can circle back and say, okay, now's a great time for us to meet in person. Or I was thinking about you, and I think this tip might be something you might appreciate. Oftentimes I see something and I say, this is a position, or this is a grant, or this is something that you want to apply for because I think it applies to you. This is a great time to show your sparkle. This is a great time to show things that you can do to benefit other people. And they really appreciate it because everybody wants a hug right now. So we launched a marketing program that says Happy Wednesday. And so every Wednesday we send out something happy. So, you know, this upcoming Wednesday, we sent out Happy Wednesday, and it's vote for pizza party. So, you know, vote for us for best of the West, vote for us for best of the city. And, you know, we did a video, best of the West, and I linked to Catherine's page, but do things that make people smile, because right now people want a hug. So my tip for you today is give people a virtual hug. Your communications should be things that make people smile and make them feel like sparkling. That's what I got.
Wow. See, this is why we love having you involved in the chamber, Angela. You are incredible. You're such an inspiration, your positive attitude, and that's what we need right now. And it's so infectious. And so love your words of wisdom and advice. This is a great time to show your sparkle. And we will get through this, like you said, and we need to prepare for that. So that networking, building that foundation for when this is over. And I love the positive attitude, doing things that make people smile. You know, it sounds simple, but it's powerful and it's meaningful. So thank you so much, Angela, for all that you do to help us at the chamber. Angela's a big, big thinker. So it's going to be fun what we're doing for next year. We're so excited. So thank you so much, Angela. And Angela was one of our women mentors for our women mentoring event that was hugely successful this year. And I'm also excited to introduce you to another women mentor, Sheena Mahan. And Sheena is Vice President of Human Resources at NCMIC. So Sheena, take it away.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you to the West Des Moines Chamber for inviting us to have a seat at this table to have this conversation. And Angela, you inspire me every time I hear you talk. So thank you for being you. I think you're amazing. So just to give you guys a little bit of insight as to who we are, people either know us as NCMIC or NCMIC, just depends. We are an insurance and finance company in the Des Moines area. We are on the corner of West Des Moines, Clive, and Waukee. We're on a really interesting corner there, which we are very, very proud of. With that being said, our main focus is malpractice insurance, mainly for chiropractors. We also have that for physicians, dentists, and naturopaths. Within that insurance side, we also have our own agency, and then we have our own finance area too. So we do merchant credit card processing and business lending, So with that pretense of who we are, what we've done, I kind of rolled this out into two buckets. What we've done for our customers, we as a company always pre-COVID, during COVID, hopefully post-COVID, we talk about how can we help our doctors do more. And so one of the first things that we did is we listened to our doctors, and essentially what they needed was a PPP lender for very small shops, 1 to 2 employees from a chiropractic office. So our business lending group became a certified PPP lender during this difficult time, which was a really big undertaking. But it was something that was very impactful, not only to our employees, but for those doctors. And so we actually had 338 PPP loans that we processed, which totaled up to be about $5 million. We are a very small shop. That was a really big undertaking for our staff, and they rocked it. And in the end of the day, it helped our doctors do more. It helped our doctors be able to feel financially secure when maybe they weren't able to practice during whichever state they lived in, orders that were close their shop essentially. So that was one thing that we're really proud of. On the insurance side of it, with us having to be virtual all the time in these environments, we're not able to, and just say, give those hugs, handshakes, say hi to the people we're used to seeing. So we really had to open up our marketing and our insurance team to really focus on content for our doctors to be able to continue to do more and feel like they have resources. And so we created a podcast during right when COVID hit. NCMIC created a podcast, and never did we think we would be in the podcast environment, but we actually love it and it's going really well. And we've gotten a lot of good feedback on it. We also created additional webinars. We have a COVID resource page on our website specifically for our doctors so they can have those extra resources. In addition to all of that, obviously being us insurance, they owe us premiums. And so if they're not getting any revenue in, those premiums are going to be pretty hard to pay. And some of these people are the sole breadwinners of their family. And so we definitely took that and we took that to heart. So we provided premium leniency to our doctors. And what does that mean? It means that one of two things. We either allowed a doctor to go part-time in our view, due to the fact that their base might have decreased just due to COVID. Or we also implemented the COVID leave of absence policy, which allowed them to stop paying their premiums. However, it did not affect their longevity with NCMIC, and they could pick that back up whenever they were able to get back on their feet. So again, the PPP loan, the content for our doctors, and then that premium leniency was really important for us to be able to give back to the profession that essentially started us. But I would be remiss not to talk about our employees. I've been in HR for most of my career, and our employees, we take care of our own. That's our hashtag, if you will. It's really important to us, and we mean that from the profession perspective, but we mean that from our employee perspective. And so we are very forward-facing HR executive team where we love to be with our employees. We love to have social events with them, have fun with them, and that got ripped away from us just in a blink of an eye. And it was hard. But with that being said, we pivoted and we had to vamp up communication. You couldn't just walk down the hall anymore to see your coworker to talk about what you needed to. And so our marketing team did weekly videos with our CEO, Mike McCoy, to continue that open conversation with our staff members. And then we also had emails that went out every other day with items that were important for staff as well. Getting used to a work from home environment when you were in the office all the time is challenging. I think we're all used to it now. But with that being said, it was really important for our staff. We felt that our staff felt that they were being communicated in when they were so far removed. Inside of that too, we do fun things like Throwback Thursdays. Right now we're sharing old pictures of my school pictures actually on our intranet right now. And having employees guess who's who, again, just trying to keep that connectivity and that fun atmosphere, even though we're all sitting in our homes. We also do Wellness Wednesday emails. So we have a really big initiative with NCMIC Fit, and we had all these great plans. All those plans needed to be in person. And so clearly here we sit having to pivot it from those, but we have capitalized on email and Teams and things like that too. Our staff is really, really involved in the community. So we've done 3 food drives to benefit the food pantries around the area. Mental health awareness is something that we are very mindful of, and we've had several webinars with our staff to talk about. I think someone else mentioned it, but people are dealing with having children at home, trying to work a full-time job, or have someone who has pre-existing health conditions and they worry about them getting COVID. And so there's just a lot of stuff going on outside of getting your job done. And so we want to be conscious of that for our staff. We continue to do all regularly. We also do monthly virtual coffees. So once a month on a Tuesday, we get together and we just have conversation on a Zoom call, see how everyone's doing, who can make it great. And then we also did a virtual carnival this year. So we usually do that in person to celebrate our vision, mission, values. And we just pivoted and we did it virtually. We would have preferred to be together, but it went off really well. And we were really happy with how it went. And then lastly, we're continuing to do additional employee surveys at this time. Why is that important? Because we have to make sure that we are taking care of our staff. How are we doing? What are we doing well? And where can we continue to get better at? And so we've taken now 2 surveys right literally when we left for COVID, and then we actually just did one in August as well. So then our executive team takes that, discusses it, and then they roll that out with their teams, how in the areas in which they can continue to get better. So with that, that's what NCMIC is currently trying to do. We're not perfect, but we really, really hope that maybe you can take something away from what we're doing and continue the conversation.
That's so neat. Thank you so much, Sheena. A lot of good nuggets here. I love, helping your doctors do more. Your PPP business lending group, just that's amazing, because we work with a lot of our financial institutions. We've got a lot of people on the line here today, and that's hard if you're a bank doing that every day. So you had to quickly, figure out how to do that, navigate that. That's amazing. I love the podcast. Who knew you'd be in the content, the content world? That's neat. Rollback Thursdays. I like that. I don't know. We might implement that. That's kind of fun. Rollback Thursdays for the chamber. Kind of cool. So, and the virtual carnival, want to hear more about that at some point. That sounds interesting. So thank you so much, Sheena. I'm now excited to introduce Tom Mulrooney. Tom is a highly valued board member of the West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce. He's also Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for UnityPoint Health. Thank you, Tom.
Well, Catherine, thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. And clearly at UnityPoint Health Des Moines, like healthcare organizations around the world, the last 9 or 10 months, it would be an understatement to say that the situation with COVID-19 has presented an impossible situation across the board. And, while it feels like it was both forever ago and just yesterday, if we think back to where we were at in February and March as COVID-19 started to take grip across this country, we were in a situation where we didn't really have a great understanding of how prevalent COVID was in our community. We didn't really understand what were the most effective treatment options for COVID. We were obviously seeing what was happening around the world, but a little bit closer to home in New York City, and that certainly was incredibly frightening for what that could mean to our community. We were in a position where testing at that point was insufficient to really determine who had COVID and who did not. And then topping things off, well, we certainly knew how to use PPE. We had pieces of it in place. It was obvious we would need a magnitude of personal protective equipment for our staff that was magnitudes beyond, I think, what we could even appreciate at that point. And so up against those odds, like healthcare organizations everywhere, it really became about just doing the work every single day. And our key at that was leveraging the collective expertise that we're fortunate to have in place throughout UnityPoint Health. It became about problem solving at a rate, usually healthcare organizations don't problem solve at. It became revisiting policies and procedures that we've had in place for years. Now, all of a sudden, we needed to change those, not in terms of what normally would take us weeks and months. They had to be changed in hours. For example, a patient who has a code in our facilities and has a cardiac event. We have a time-honored process for how our team responds to that, but suddenly responding to that code can present danger to our staff that we've now got to re-engineer. And again, it wasn't going to take weeks to figure that out. We had to figure that out in hours of how we would change that process to make sure we protected our staff. It also became about how do we maximize what we have in place in terms of equipment and technology to figure out how we can more safely care for patients. Data was pretty clear early on that if a patient ended up not only in the hospital, but ended up in critical care and needed to be ventilated, the likelihood of death went up significantly. So it became, how do we avoid ventilating patients? And fortunately, with our partners at the Iowa Clinic, with their critical care and pulmonary physicians and our respiratory therapy team, we already had some technology in place called nasal high flow oxygen. And it was a way of helping avoid intubating patients earlier as maybe what some other facilities across the country were seeing. And that frankly helped save lives. And that didn't happen by chance. That was purposeful and deliberate work of some great people we have in our community. And that went on to not only help those individual patients, but it freed up resources for us to care for a lot of other patients as well too. And that process went on literally around the clock for weeks of those kind of things and problem solving. We had excellent collaboration, not only from our medical staff, but our nursing staff, respiratory care, supply chain leaders. Across the board, our organization worked incredibly hard. We stood up testing platforms that we didn't have before. In the early days, it sometimes took us days to get back a result on a patient we were testing COVID, and that tied up resources for us. Fast forward to today, we're testing patients through our drive-through testing locations in our clinics. Just for our Des Moines hospitals and clinics, we're testing upwards of 800 patients a day for COVID and getting results back in less than 24 hours. All of that has allowed us to, successfully care for now a couple thousand COVID patients. At Iowa Methodist, Iowa Lutheran, and Methodist West hospitals, we've had nearly 900 patients admitted who have tested positive for COVID now. That makes us, not that we set out to be the COVID hospital, but we've now cared for more COVID patients than any other hospitals in Iowa. And we take a lot of pride in that, knowing that when our community needed us, we stepped up to meet that challenge as well too. I would be remiss to say you never do this alone, and the importance of being part of a larger health system. We leverage our expertise across our entire system, but it also took our community partners as well too. And I'm glad Ben's on a little bit later. The Iowa Clinic was an important partner here as well too. I think people don't always realize how much we collaborate with Mercy One and Broadlands and the VA, but an incredible amount of work behind the scenes between all of your healthcare providers in Central Iowa to make sure we were providing the right care for our community and responding to this pandemic. And our county and state public health agencies as well too. All of that came together to respond to this pandemic and crisis that we found ourselves in. So, it's all been a lot of great work. I think the good news is we found ways to safely care for not only our COVID patients, but we got to care for everybody else as well too. All the other patients didn't stop coming to our facilities, and it was never just about caring for COVID patients. It was, how do we manage the COVID piece and then ensure we can take care of everybody else as well too? And that's been an important piece. So in some respects, it feels like we have kind of redefined impossible, but unfortunately, I think impossible is still in front of us. And some of my family members accuse me of being the downer, and we're going to head into probably what's going to be the toughest part of COVID is yet to come. This winter and fall and winter is going to be a challenge. And not just because of COVID, but seasonal flu season is always a busy time for us. And we're already seeing patients admitted for seasonal flu. And adding any number of COVID patients on top of that will continue to kind of strain hospital resources, not only in Iowa, but across the country as well too. So, my plea on a day when literally the state of Iowa has the highest number of COVID admissions, when the state of Wisconsin has setting up a field hospital and their state fairgrounds, I would encourage everybody to please do two things. Number one, please get your flu shot. It won't protect you from COVID, but we want to keep you safe from the seasonal flu and keep you out of the hospital for that as well too. And stop by Angela's shop and please buy as many masks as possible, because we need everybody wearing masks out there, because that is an effective way to help reduce the virus. And if you do get exposed, plenty of evidence emerging that if you can reduce the amount of virus you're exposed to, the healthier you'll be as well too, as and being exposed to COVID. So again, a big thanks to our community. We have certainly felt supported throughout all of this. And we look forward to continuing to serve our community no matter what healthcare needs anybody has in this community. So thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Tom, for everything that you do. You're at the heartbeat of what's going on, and it's impressive to learn that you've cared for more COVID patients than any other hospital in Iowa. So thank you for being on here today. You're clearly a busy man, and we know the hospital rates have gone up recently. We're in the 400s now, and I know it's not where we want to be on the bed rate, but so thank you so much. And absolutely wear a mask. We're actually selling the masks $25 per. They are custom made by Angela. They're gorgeous and they're extra thick, so they protect you as well. So let us know if you want to buy a mask. And thank you so much, Tom, for what you do. Really appreciate it. I'm excited to introduce Chris Nelson, who is the West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce's board chair, our fearless leader that we adore so much. Chris Nelson is team leader for Shive-Hattery and also quite a funny man, if you don't already know that. So take it away, Chris.
I'm not sure about the funny part, but I will tell you this, that with everything going on and whatever happens in the next 6 months, if you need a mask or a dose of positivity, go to Angela again for the mask and the positivity. And everything she has said is spot on, and she believes so much in relationships. She reaches out to you. She's just a wonderful person. Thank you, Angela, for your words earlier. I am going to try to abbreviate this a little bit and move us quite along. So if it looks like I'm going fast, I am. I'm going to try to accelerate this. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Shive-Hattery, and I'll just reach out and say thank you to Stacy Williams and ISG for being a sponsor. They're an architectural engineering firm. That's what we are. Service is our clients, and they can shut off immediately. We have offices across 4 states, as you can see. I think in the upper right-hand corner, if you're able to see my screen, right, Catherine? I did share correctly because, okay, thank you. And then the 5 major markets that we're in is government, education, healthcare, commercial, and industrial. Now, what is interesting about this is back in 2008, when we had the recession, it was really industrial the industry that ag industry that really pulled us through at Shive-Hattery. That was really something that supported us. Right now, during this pandemic, it's really another sector, government. And we're fortunate, really blessed to be able to have 5 strong sectors that we do business in. All sectors are kind of doing things differently. Some stopped, some of our commercial retail stopped, just as Richard had talked about. Some slowed down. Hospitals fed up in the ICU area. There's a lot of interest in what we can do for ICUs. However, because of all the elective surgeries on hold and going off, the hospitals as a whole, especially rural communities, just slowed down. Some accelerated. You look at the picture that I'm showing on the left is the Amazon site out in Altoona. The picture on the right is the wonderful Recplex project. And I'll tell you that these projects never looked back. They just kept going full blast. And they were also recipients of really taking advantage of slower construction, therefore getting better pricing and a better deal for the ultimate customer. So our work from home approach probably wasn't too unique. I mean, we had to step up communication. I want to scroll right down to the bottom and talk about employee engagement, because we have somebody that was in charge of our employee engagement committee inside the walls of Shive-Hattery. Karen Hardesty is a West Des Moines Leadership Academy graduate, and she has worked for years to try to get this community within the Shive-Hattery walls engaged in different ways other than just looking at drawings and doing design. And she was just wonderful, and still is, trying to get more activities. For instance, I was not able to attend, but Tuesday there was Baking with Becca from your own home in your own kitchen. You got to bake with Becca. Most of you don't know Becca, but Becca is extremely talented architect, extremely talented cook, baker. I have tested her cinnamon rolls firsthand, and they are to die for. They are fantastic. These are things that help pull us through. I'm working kind of slow, kind of fast here because I want to get to what we're looking at for the future. Looking back, I think in the last few bullet points, again, our phased return to work. We first had 20% phase 1, phase 2, we had 40%. And then by the middle of the summer, end of the summer, we had 60%. And now we have a full invitation for everyone to return. Interestingly enough, we've only got about, on an average day, about 60% of the people that have actually stepped back into the office on any given day. What we look to happen is there will be an expectation that you will need to be in the office. And that might be looking right now like you can imagine mid-January. And I think it's for good reason, because in mid-January, you know, the students from college, everybody's kind of gone home. You wait 14 days, you try to take the precautions necessary to try to mitigate and reduce the risk of spreading any of the COVID. So moving forward, this is the part I love to look at, because this is the business climate today. For our Des Moines office, the economy is starting to expand. We feel it. We see our clients starting to move. That's fantastic. What's really happening on the strategization part, though, is if you look on the bottom right-hand side, there are people now, companies now, that are really looking at, do I need to even ever work at the office again? There's a certain percentage that are just going to work from home. We know that's taking place. And we know there's a percentage that's going to work in the office. And then there's going to be that hybrid. And that hybrid is going to be anything from, you know, touchdown stations, hoteling, to, oh my goodness, desk sharing. Now there's some disease and concerns there. And these are things that companies are starting to look at, and it's going to affect how their buildings look, which is our business. And we're working with these clients. And these are the kind of things we're looking at when we specifically look at a work from home opportunity looking forward. Is you really want to know, you know, can the staff do what they need to do? Are they going to work effectively? And I think one of the things in the lower left-hand corner is the work-life balance. that actually appears on the other side of the ledger as well, on the very bottom of the challenges that work from home opportunities have is the work life. It can be on both sides, but you know, you have real estate optimization. You have people what we call de-densifying office spaces, where we're not in 6x6 cubes anymore. We're trying to do something a little bit farther apart, right? We don't want to have that spread of a possible disease. And if the worst might be yet to come, or we're not sure what's going to come this winter, you want to be prepared for that. The work from home challenges, the biggest one right there is probably the fourth bullet item, the culture. The culture, we all work so hard to have a culture inside our office. And the question is, if you're working from home, can we still maintain that culture? Can we introduce that culture to a new grad student that comes in from college that doesn't know the culture of our business? And how do you, these are big challenges. Also that home technology speed, you know, shout out to the city of West Des Moines again, because on that second bullet from the bottom on the right-hand side is that technology. If you live in West Des Moines and you sign up for it and you're going to get fiber to your house, wow, that's a game changer. And I'm so excited to know that in the next 3 years that is possible. Working with customers and clients right now, they're looking at, you know, what do you have inside your business? They're saying there's inward facing and outward facing agencies or departments. And I'll tell you who's taking the lead on this right now, surprisingly enough, government. But if you listen to Tom Hadden talk about how can we serve our customers, how can we serve our customers? I'm telling you, there's state agencies, in other states as well, that are really, really looking hard at what do we need to do to serve our customer? Do I really need to be in this building? These buildings are expensive to maintain. Can we repurpose these buildings? And I'm just extremely, extremely thrilled with government and how they're looking at it and the questions they're asking. There's a sense of urgency right now, and that sense of urgency is we have an opportunity. This is a forced adaptation, right? What Angela Jackson and her company, what she has done is a forced adaptation. She adapted and she's making masks. And this is what we're seeing companies do, even with work from home, which is a neat opportunity to do something different. And I will just give you one example of a DOT example in Waukee location. 8 months ago, I went to go get my driver's license. I needed to get that star on there. I waited 3 hours to get my driver's license, 3 hours. 1 month ago, my wife went to her scheduled appointment, same building. They wouldn't let you go in the waiting area. It took her 15 minutes on a Saturday. She came back with a totally different experience than I. My experience was not pleasant. Hers was. These are things that are changing in the face of a pandemic that I think are very positive, and we need to recognize that. So last slide is just basically to keep in mind that there's a perspective. Everybody's got a different perspective, and we have to be aware of that. I really, really appreciate that, but I got to cut it off right there. I can go an hour.
I love it, Chris. Amazing. You have such good information. Your last slide is fun here. Can you suggest a good wine to go with that? That's awesome. Thank you, Chris. That was amazing. And you're right. People are reinventing, looking at things new. I love your slide that said the economy is opening up and outlook looks very good. That was great to see. I love that positivity. So yeah, this is fabulous. I love the culture, forced adaptation, really neat. And people are studying change. Yes. How can we do things for the better? Thank you so much, Chris. Really, really appreciate it. I'm excited to introduce Ben Vallier. Ben is Chief Executive Officer of the Iowa Clinic and doing amazing work in our healthcare industry as well. Take it away, Ben.
Thanks, Catherine. I'll move quickly here, and I want to echo many of Tom Mulrooney's comments about the collaboration that we've seen in the healthcare community and the broader business community. I moved here partway through this summer and got to experience that firsthand, and I just want to give all of you kudos for the way this community has come together and how happy I am to be here and be part of it. I think the Iowa Clinic experienced many of the same challenges that you all talked about, and certainly some of those that Tom shared. A couple of unique things that I think stuck out to me as I think back on it, and I think about how we addressed it were, first of all, we had, and you can move the slides forward, Bailey, I'm going to talk fast here. We had a lot of patients that needed to come see us and were terrified to do so. There was so much fear in the media. we had patients that were sick. Sometimes they had life-threatening conditions, but yet they didn't want to come in. They were really, really scared. And as a result of that, we found ourselves forced to furlough a large number of folks, unfortunately. And so here we are in the middle of a healthcare crisis, furloughing healthcare workers. And that just, the optics were bad. It felt terrible. It truly was terrible. So we really had to work together, and the team had to pull together to figure out how to create a safe environment and then communicate the safety measures that we were taking to patients and try to overcome, all the fear and all the unknowns. And they were doing that in the middle of a leadership transition. Next slide. So for us, that really became about redefining care. And as a result, we became one of the first in the state to launch a mobile testing site. We found ourselves doing 100 a day. That's not 800 a day like UnityPoint, but for a little business like ours, that certainly kept us busy. We also developed a pretty sophisticated triage protocol, and you can keep advancing, Bailey, to identify the right site of care for our patients, whether it be the ER, urgent care, or our virtual clinic, which we also had to launch very quickly and get everybody up to speed on. Next slide. This is something we did to try to handle some of those communication issues. We created a little virtual portal. Our marketing team did a great job, where we tried to identify the different elements of our waiting room where we had taken precautions to keep patients safe, and they could go and click on it and interact with the site a little bit. But we did so many different things to try to communicate we are safe and to be a safe environment. And that, while that continues to be a challenge, I think we've all made strides in that area. Next slide. Visitor screenings is another thing we did, kind of out front, getting in front of some of those issues. And then, like Tom talked about, and you can keep advancing, the collaboration we had on new treatments and using the nasal treatments to avoid putting patients on ventilators. I'm sure you saw statistics. I think greater than 80% of patients that went on vents were actually dying at one point in time. So the Iowa Clinic physicians, working with the UnityPoint team, really led an effort that ended up getting national recognition for changing the protocols around how COVID-19 patients were treated. And I think that's something that I'll be forever proud of as part of this team and part of this healthcare community. Next slide, virtual care. I mentioned that briefly. The team here did a tremendous job getting about 200 providers up to speed in about 3 weeks on how to deliver care virtually. Fortunately, we already had a platform in place, and so some of the heavy lifting had been done, but it was really an incredible effort to get so many providers trained, the marketing done, and to be able to reconnect with those patients who really needed care and just were scared to leave their home. So that happened over about a 3-week period, and is again just something I'm very proud of. Next slide. Same thing along the lines of our contactless check-in, zero contact check-in, we called it, a way for patients to feel like they could provide all their information, sign the documents, do all this healthcare regulatory stuff we have to do without touching pens and touching counters. And so we had folks waiting in their cars, avoiding the waiting rooms. We'd bring them in, really kind of a customized process, a true reinvention of the healthcare process, again, over just a few week period. Something that was a tremendous feat, both in terms of technology and bringing people processes together. Next slide. I think we spent a lot of time looking inward, but then we want to make sure we were looking outward as well. And so some of our doctors were really generous with their time, making themselves available to the media and to a lot of other local entities to make sure we were getting good information out there. I don't know about you, but it seems like there was a period of time where we couldn't get a straight answer about COVID anywhere. And certainly the information has changed, it continues to, but really our docs were committed to getting the best evidence and getting it out there to the community in the most clear and concise way they could. And they donated a lot of their time to try to make that happen, try to make folks in the community feel safe and feel as informed as possible. Next slide. And lastly, I want to just touch briefly on, or second to last here, some of the downstream effects that we don't always think about. And so what you're seeing here is some kids that were considered to be at risk in the Des Moines school district. And so in the middle of all this, some of our providers went out and provided free sports physicals to these kids who may not have otherwise been able to get to a primary care doctor. And so that way, hopefully we're keeping them engaged with activities, assuming they're allowed to have activities going into the rest of the year here. Next slide. Just wanted to highlight, again, the collaboration with local businesses. We had so many folks sharing positive messages, buying nurses on the front line, lunch, so many different little ways that we interacted. And we're so proud to be part of this community and are so grateful for the support that we received. And on the business front, you know, candidly, it's opened up some opportunities for us to build some new relationships with businesses and talk to them about some ways where we think we can save them money at a time when everyone's looking at healthcare costs and they're increasing each year at an exponential rate. So we're trying to take that impossible issue of healthcare costs and convert them to an opportunity to collaborate and save businesses money. That's it.
Thank you so much, Ben. We've learned so much today. And Ben, I didn't know you had the first mobile testing site. That's so impressive. And then your nasal therapy. I was not aware of that either. So that's huge. Two big giant pillars that you're working on. And thank you to the doctors for informing the community when they don't have a lot of time to do that. So that is fabulous that they've made time to inform the community on what's going on in the facts. And we all as consumers need that and rely on that. So thank you, Ben, to your team, and for also keeping us all safe during this time. And I love your Iowa Clinic Healthcare Foundation. That's truly incredible. So I want to thank everybody and all your personal stories on how you've redefined impossible. Sincerely, this has been incredible. We've heard so many different perspectives, and I think it's so valuable to us. And, you know, a little bit about our mission at the West Des Moines Chamber. We are so laser focused around our vision to make West Des Moines the best community, the best suburban city in America to live, work, and play. And each and every one of you play a really key role with that. So just thank you so much for your support and being on this call today. We want to thank our sponsors that made this possible. Thank you so much to Bank Iowa for being our presenting sponsor today. For future programming, we have some stuff coming up. Bob Bauer is coming up. He's going to be featured our economic update. So if you want more insight into the future, that is going to be on October 22nd. We have Iowa Athletic Director Gary Barta on the line November 12th. That's going to be super interesting. And also make sure you go to our homepage and vote for the first annual U.S. Cellular Best of the West Awards. We are trying our best to infuse positivity in our region right now. That's what we need. We all need that virtual hug, right, Angela and everybody? So we encourage everybody to vote for your favorite in the first annual U.S. Cellular Best of the West Awards, from your best restaurant, your favorite restaurant, to your favorite large company and everything in between. The neat thing is 10% of our sponsorship proceeds actually go back to the community. We are donating 10% of sponsorship proceeds to the West Des Moines Community Foundation. I think I saw Robert Palmer on the line, and we're really, really thrilled to give back to the community in that way. So help to spread the word on that. So I just want to say thanks, everybody. Go to our homepage. We also have a wonderful effort to support our minority communities. We are giving money to the NAACP and Jules Academy through our DEI program. We are selling beautiful, soft, comfy t-shirts. So when you are at home and you're on that Zoom, you can wear it underneath your jacket. It says, I Heart Diverse West Des Moines, I Heart Diverse Iowa. Angela is our spearhead for this. There's beautiful wall plaques, wall art, and window clings to show your pride. So do place your order today. That's all on our homepage. And so we really want to thank everybody for being here, and go West. And we also like to say, stay positive and test negative, everybody. Wear those masks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chamber team. Thank you.
Chris. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, team. Have
Bye,
a great
everyone.
day, everyone.